always had the dream to have my own project, my own mission, my own vision. It's something that has always, I don't know, interested me. There are nights where you don't sleep because you have many worries. It's like a roller coaster. You have moments where you say, wow, it's so good, and moments when you say, like, why did I choose this job? I'm someone that always try away. I think that at a certain point, if you have worked well, if you have dedicated yourself to it, you will see the light. And sometimes you don't notice when you're working or you are having fun because you do something you believe in. I think it's not to believe in what you do, it's to believe that you want to build something on your own.
Hi, Niccolò. Thank you so much for coming to the live of a founder. How's it going?
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. And well, it's going well. We have a lot of work and a lot of activities that we have to do. So for the moment, we are happy about our business.
I'm jealous because you're taking this call from Florence, which is to me, it's a lot. I truly believe one of the most beautiful cities in my life.
Well, yes, surely it's a beautiful city, and well, it's really interesting and nice to live here.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely outstanding. But as we start, the life of a founder is about you. So would you like to give me an introduction to yourself, who you are, where you come from? And
Yes, sure. I'm Niccolò Cipriani. I am 33 years old, and I've started the Rifò 6 years ago with a crowdfunding campaign. And I have background in economics, and I was working in development cooperation before starting Rifò.
why did you decide to become an entrepreneur?
Well, yeah, this is a good question in the sense that I don't know actually. I remember that when I was studying at Bocconi University, I had like a orienteering day, and during the orienteering sessions, I asked them about, like, do you think I can be an entrepreneur? I think that as I come from textile district where there are many small and medium entrepreneurs, I was always fascinated by this figure. I don't have it directly in my family, like my parents are not entrepreneurs, but my uncle is an entrepreneur, another uncle has been an entrepreneur. So it's something that has always, I don't know, interested me. And when I was working before, I was interested in entrepreneurship, like how to stimulate entrepreneurship. But at the same time, I always had the dream to have my own project, my own mission, my own vision. And I remember that maybe it was like 10 years ago when I was talking about these things with my father. He was like, well, if you have, in Italy, we say, if you have like this rock in your shoes, if you have this sasso nella scarpa, you have to do it, no? And I've always been next to like startup movements, startup courses, startup competitions. And then, like, when I was 17, I was in Vietnam. I had this idea, and I said, okay, this is the right occasion to try. I'm 17 years old. I'm, sorry, 27 years old. It's something I believe. It's a project where I can combine my interests and also the potentiality of my town. Why not? And this is why I decided to come back from Vietnam, where I was working for a UN program, and I decided to start Rifò. I don't know, it has happened, and I think that if I could choose, I would do the same.
Do you enjoy what you're doing as an entrepreneur?
Yes, well, of course, it's like a roller coaster. You have moments where you say, wow, it's so good, and moments when you say, like, why did I choose this job? And obviously, it gives you a lot in terms of good and negative things. But surely you learn, you risk, you learn, and sometimes you don't notice when you're working or you are having fun because you do something you believe in. And in my case, I can say that Obviously, there are nights where you don't sleep because you have many worries, but at the same time, I feel like I do what I like, and I'm really lucky to do this. And finally, also, I see it as an adventure, as an experience. I don't see Rifo as my only startup, my only project. I always see it like a way to learn, to discover, and to grow.
This is very, very true. Founders never sleep. There is no, I mean, you do something that you like, you enjoy. So for me, it's the same. I'm still enjoy any second of what I do. And this is why I decided to take this career, taking this career. But again, I always say founders, they don't work. They learn. They learn doing. And they really enjoy what they're doing. But when you decided to come back, start your business, starting your career as an entrepreneur, what was the feeling? Scared? Excited?
No, actually, I wasn't scared in the sense at the beginning, when I came back, it was September. I told my previous boss that I was taking like 2 months holidays. And no, I was like, I have 2 months to do this. I need to be quick. I was really focused on this. And maybe the moment where I was saying like, wow, it's really hard, it was afterwards, because like the first 4 6 months you have a lot of energy and you say, okay, I give like 150% of myself. But then obviously at the beginning it's difficult to have a wage, it's difficult to start financially and economically with the business. So then I was like, wow, maybe I should start looking for a job, part-time job, so I can work, get some money, and at the same time work on Refo. My mother wasn't happy at all because like I was going to have like a diplomatic career, to have a good job, good wage, good benefits. And she was like, wow, you are getting rid of a career that is really good for you. And for, we don't know what it is. And so at the beginning, it wasn't easy. I think the first 3 years are really hard. And you, well, a company takes a lot of time, takes a lot of your time, a lot of sacrifices, and you need really to believe in what you do. But I think it's not to believe in what you do, it's to believe that you want to build something on your own. It's that, because actually you can change idea, you can change the execution of what you have in your mind, but what you have to ask yourself is, do you really want to build something on your own or with someone? Do you really want to build something from zero, from scratch? This is what you have to ask yourself. And I really want to, actually. And actually it was nice for me because it was something I've never seen as an experience, as something that could improve my CV. And I remember that, well, we did the crowdfunding, so from September to December I was really concentrated on the business, on the crowdfunding campaign, and it went well. But then after, from January to March, I was like, okay, but now how do I sell? Like, what do I do next? And how do I survive economically? And so I was looking for jobs. And there are two things interesting that happened. The first one is that as my ex-girlfriend is from Canada, I went there and I was looking for jobs there as well. And it was the first time like having job interviews with like bank directors or like big company directors. It was the first time that they told me, you know, you have excellent grades at university, excellent experiences, but in your CV you lack the experience you are doing now, because in your CV we never see that you have taken responsibility or taken this risk directly. And that I started seeing Grifo in a different way, and obviously I was like, I don't know, a bit relieved. Like, okay, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, who cares? I can find a job. It's not like I'm not spending my time in something useful. And of course, in Italy, we don't have a culture of failure. So it's like if you do something, you have to do it really like perfectly. While in the US, in Canada, it's like you have tried, it didn't work, go on. And so this also relieved me. And the second thing, the funny thing is that The day that I was going to accept a contract here in Prato, a full-time contract, it was March or April 2018, I received a call from an accelerator in Florence that they were eager to give me 50,000 euros to start. And it was funny because it was the same day that I was going to accept this job. I received this call and I accepted the accelerator. That was really like something that when I when I talk about it, I smile because it's really like life. It's something that you can never expect.
I mean, I'm big believer that destiny is there and it's all written. This is my take on the life. And you must be an entrepreneur, otherwise you will be probably still in Canada. But you say something extremely important. You must go, right? There is a point in the lifetime of an entrepreneur where you can't be in between. You can't take the job because it makes you believing that you are not taking too much risk. And the end of the month, you still have some money coming in because you will never get on the other side. You will never succeed. You must go one day 100% on one side and another. And when you go, you have to go. That's it. Never come back anymore until you get things done. Failure is there. Who cares? Just go. That's the point.
Yeah, I agree. If you have something in your mind that you believe in, go try, and it's experience anyway. You have a story to tell.
In Europe, we don't have a big, a good approach to failure. Failure is a kind of huge defeat. I address totally the American side, and this failure, just failure. That's it. Move on. It's a learning curve and nothing more. What were the initial struggles? Where do you find the most difficult part to be an entrepreneur when you start?
Well, maybe I say a banal thing, but it's money. Obviously, at the beginning, it's finance. It's like to survive. I always say that maybe the first year you think week by week, then the second year maybe you start thinking month by month. Then from the third year, if you're lucky, you start thinking 3 months for 3 months, and then year by year. So it's really like to be careful at each cent you have, and I always say that it's the best period for your mind because you are really creative and you find ways to be alive, and it's survival instinct, and you have to be flexible, adaptable to every situation. But obviously, yes, money is really hard because also in Italy, well, in Europe, it's really difficult that you get funded by your idea. You need to prove something, you need to prove sales. But at the same time, when you have this like texting period, you don't get any like enough revenues for not even a living wage. So it's really hard. It's really hard. You work hard. You don't see sometimes the end of what you do, but you need to resist because I think that at a certain point, if you have worked well, if you have dedicated yourself to it, you will see the light.
It's, I mean, how can you say you're navigating uncertainty for a very long time? So at the very beginning, it is a day by day. But you say right. It's a very nice way to describe. Maybe in 3, 4 years' time, you can forecast 1 year. Until then, just move on a weekly or monthly basis is the best way to go. Although because you can't do anything, nothing more than this. Well, in terms of balance between pride and business life. Being an entrepreneur affected your life in a good or in a bad way.
My girlfriend would say negative way in the sense that I'm always concentrated on my job. It's true that I've improved. At the beginning, maybe it was 24/7. Now it's like 24/5. But like the first 2 years, I was working the weekend, and but I like it. I mean, it's not something I felt like tired of it. I really like it. Now I have a way of like have a more like private life. I do sports in the weekend. Like we normally go outside, trekking, hiking. Where also I cannot use my phone, and it takes time. But obviously, it's important to get a balance. I agree.
I mean, you loved maybe your girlfriend a bit less, but that's normal. Being an entrepreneur, it's a pure dedication. That's the point. So, many, if you're not, only entrepreneurs can understand how beautiful can be if you really love what you're doing. If you talk to someone that's just working for a wage or a salary, that's a different story. Approach is totally different. So it's not easy to understand. But have you ever thought in a bad day, I'm the most unqualified founder and CEO. I won't get there. What am I doing?
No, actually, it was more like no. I never thought about like I could get another job and maybe get also a better wage sometimes. No, it was more like it's tough, it's hard, but it wasn't like changing job. No, it was more like maybe I should rest sometimes.
But that's very important. I mean, if you keep believing what you're doing, that's the best way to go. The only way. And also, founders must have a very high level of resilience and very much convinced of what they're doing. But in your day to day, what you like the most in what you're doing, the task that you prefer when the day comes.
Well, my task, yes, it's a good question because my tasks change each year or each month, depending on the growth of the company. And I like actually working with people, understand how I can achieve the best from them, how can be passionate about what they do, because I always say that I have abandoned a job for this, and I would like the people next to me to have the same passion for what they do. And this is important to me. At the same time, I like thinking about what's next, the future. I have this role in the company, so like the vision, like now we're here. What about next year? What about in 2 years? New projects. I like also the social impact side of our job because it's also what I used to do before. So, like, yes, it's important to sell our clothes that are recyclable, yes, but at the same time, it's important to create impact on the community, on the territory, and it's an aspect that I really like of Rifò and what we do.
Let me give you two words: resilience and motivation. How do you keep yourself motivated and resilient?
I think resilient it's my nature. I'm not someone that get rid easily of things. I'm someone that always try a way, and I also like to find sometimes my way or our way to do things. And I say that obsession can be good, but not at 100%. You always have to be obsessed about what you do, but at the same time, not totally, because otherwise you don't see and you don't change your mind. You don't see alternatives and you don't change your mind. Motivation, it's funny because I'm a person that maybe the day that I receive left back, I'm really demotivated. But then the next day I wake up and I say, okay, it's a new challenge, it's a new thing, and it's happening. Sometimes obviously maybe when you don't close a good deal, you are like, wow, this is tough. What we will do next? But then next day you say, okay, there are plenty of opportunities. We just need to keep working.
Let's go back to failure. Are you obsessed by to not failing at any cost of price? Do you recognize when things are not doing that well and maybe there is some changing to be done, some pivoting?
No, I've learned to stop when it's the right time, to not continue a project if it doesn't work, to stop it, and then maybe to not abandon it, but like to take it apart. Maybe in few years it will be of value. No, I think it's important really to always ask yourself if what you're doing is correct. Ask what the person next to you if what I'm doing is correct. I really like to have feedback about it, and I'm stubborn, but not that much. I'm stubborn when I have the idea, the instinct that say this is the right thing to do. We have to do it, but at the same time, I always listen to others, and I think this is important. And I think it's important to have around people that you trust and they can give added value. Like we are a brand. I'm not a designer. I cannot like impose my style or my design. There is a designer. It's important that we relate well, so we achieve the best together.
In terms of bright life, free time, how do you spend it? What do you like to do outside working?
There are three things I love. The first one is to play water polo because it's something I used to do since I was a kid. The second thing is like well to like watch movies or read books with my girlfriend, and the third thing is hiking. I love hiking. I love like camping in nature, and it's something where I have like 1 day or 2 days available. I always do nearby or outside Italy.
Do you participate in this tech event, startup event, community, and what's your take from that?
I participate when I'm invited. Before, maybe I was participating more. I was more like, let's say, like curious to participate. Now, when I'm invited, yes. Otherwise, I participate when I see really something interesting. But like as I'm growing in terms of responsibilities, I always look for events where I can learn new skills. What I look for is experiences. Like to, I think one of the most important thing is to learn by what others did. Also, where they fail, where they work. So I also like reading books about this, about founders' lives or founders' businesses. Like I really like the book by Nike's founder. I really like the book by Reebok's founder. Well, they always tell you that a business is not a straight line. It's like a river. It has different shapes.
It's a river, absolutely, and shape change every day. There is no
Yeah, sometimes it can be dry. Sometimes it's full of water. It's like this.
founders in your thinking what they should do for this world, because we always talk about startups, founders must make this world a better place, right? Are you on this page, do you think founders startup today with all the funding they get, they are doing enough?
I think it's important to have an impact on the society or on the environment, a positive one. I think as an entrepreneur, you have to think now in a regenerative way, not in an extractive way. So our target is not to maximize profit, but to optimize it at the same time, following a concrete impact on the community and the environment. We have to do it. We cannot think like the resources are there so I can be richer. It doesn't work. We won't be entrepreneurs in 10 years if we don't change our mentality. We need to think about what we receive from the community, what we receive from the land. We need to give back. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. And climate change is not a joke. And we really need to change something. And we cannot think only about profit and maximizing it. I think it's not a good strategy for the future as an entrepreneur.
You're right. We need to design a new way to do business and to run the economy. We are still in a completely old-fashioned way, destroying everything and only think about profit and shareholders. Totally wrong.
Yes, and also at the same time asking for the lower wage to our employees. It doesn't work.
Let's continue on the climate. Are you worried?
About the climate.
Yeah.
No, I'm positive. Otherwise, I wouldn't do what I do. At the same time, sometimes I ask myself if what we do is not fast enough, if we need to change pace, because maybe the environment is changing faster than our actions. Because still, there is greenwashing, there is sustainability, but it's still like superficial. I don't know if what we do is enough quick and fast. This is what maybe I'm worried, but at the same time, I believe that what we do is correct and we need to continue this way. But maybe as a person, as a citizen, sometimes I say, okay, we need to be quicker, we need to be more radical in our decision already now.
Well, in your opinion, how much can be done by entrepreneurs and the economy itself, and how much can be done by the politicians. The problem I
Well, they say that social entrepreneurs were born because the politics or the government cannot reach certain levels. I think I'm someone that believe in men or women's capabilities, and as a consequence, I believe in what entrepreneurs can do, and also what governments can do. I would say it's 60% entrepreneurs and the economy, and 40% the government.
let me if you can be sitting around with world leaders, what would you like to tell them that for you must be fixed because it's totally wrong? There are too many.
I will tell them that we need to be more radical. Like, if plastic is the problem, well, we need to say that plastic cannot be used anymore. If circular economy is the direction, we need to say that if you use circular economy process, maybe you get benefits from the government. If you think that water must be, let's say, like saved more, well, make rules to it. At the same time, the problem is today there are companies that are really strong and they have a lot of lobby, and it's difficult for the government to take decision without taking them into consideration.
I know, that's a serious problem. Lobbying by huge companies without naming them, that's one of the major problems. But what are the things that really touch you, that you are willing to fight for?
One stupid thing is like when I see, I don't know, plastic bottles or even paper on the streets, I always collect them. I don't like it. I think our home is not just our house, but our home is environment. So I don't like when I find trash around. I always try, especially when I'm in the woods. I always try to collect them. The second thing is the concept of waste. We need to change. We need to think waste as a good. We cannot like regulate circular services, collection services like we are collecting waste. We are not collecting waste. We are collecting goods. We are collecting raw material. We don't need special permission to circulate with that material. We need to be free because it's a commodity. It's something that everyone can use. And if we really want to foster circular economy, we need to change this concept. And at the same time, I think that we need to invest a lot in technology, to invest more and more in technology, because the technology we have now, it's not enough to achieve a sustainable or green transition. And most of the companies are investing now in green technologies, but maybe it's too late. And so we need to invest more to gain field again.
The best book and author.
I think I don't know in English, I type it. It's Il sogno del Celta. In English, it's by Maria Vargas Llosa, The Dream of the Celt. And it's the story of a person that didn't want, an Irish person that didn't want to live in Ireland when he was young. He imagined himself outside. He was like working with crews, with boats, so he was traveling around. And while he was traveling around, he realized how he was attached to his territories, to his land. And so he decided to come back and to fight for his land, to fight for his culture, his traditions. And I really like that book because I had the same experience. I always traveled and studied abroad. And then studying and traveling abroad, I said, okay, I'm really attached to my territory in a good way, not in an extreme way. So I want to go back and to give new value to where I was born. And I really like that book. And it's the book that influenced me the most because all my friends always say that when I was, well, maybe like teenagers, they never expect me to be working in Prato. Well, now I'm working in Prato. And at the same time, obviously, with my trips, with my experiences abroad, I have a different mindset, maybe from a local person, but I really like what I do and what my territory does. And this happened because I travel. And this book is about this. Yes, I really love the book. And the first time I read it when I was, I think, 22 or 23, I was attending university.
I try to read as much as I can. There is the problem when you work is you have very little time, but reading to me is by far the best way to open your mind. By far, and traveling, the two way, traveling and reading. Watching TV, it just doesn't work because your brain is not functioning that much. The best the best actor and movie.
I I like Breaking the Ways by Lars von Trier because it's about sacrifice.
If you can define the best thing that life gave you as a lesson, what is this?
If you feel something, do it.
And the greatest wish?
I wish I could create impact on my territory and on my generation.
Now, let me close with a recommendation. If you can recommend something to all the founders watching this podcast, what would be?
Sustainability is not an asset now. Sustainability has to be in the company. Otherwise, the company cannot succeed in the market and cannot succeed in this planet. So we cannot think that sustainability is like a competitive advantage. Sustainability is something that has to be in every company that we create now.
Niccolò, thank you so much for coming to the Life of Founder.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Max.